If you missed any past episode of Outreach Radio Chicago, you go to YouTube, subscribe to us at youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Don't forget to visit us on iTunes. We're on iTunes/Mercado Airwaves. You can see everything we've done with Outreach Radio Chicago and all of our interviews with celebrities and UFC athletes and some cool stuff. Visit us on iTunes, Mercado Airwaves. And today we have a very special guest. He's one of the guys leading the way to help people beat addiction and also live a very healthy lifestyle. Joining us today is Joe Maxim. You can go to tryrecovery24.com or call 1-800-442-0390 for more information. Joe, thank you for joining us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, and thanks for having me today.
Oh, it's great. It's a beautiful day here in Chicago, and it's that time of year now where people get that inspiration and want to do better, want to get their lives healthier, whatever the case may be, mentally or physically. And I think you're a great guest to have on. You went through a journey of your own from beating addiction and creating this regimen that's helped out so many people. Can you just give the listeners of Outreach and Chicago a little bit of information about yourself, bud?
Sure. Well, first of all, again, thanks for having me. It is beautiful here in Pittsburgh today.
Nice.
And when you say beating addiction, it's an everyday battle. So I'm struggling, just like most people in recovery, but I'm 30 years clean and working sobriety one day at a time. And the big part of it, too, is, Mike, is in recovery, I believe that nutrition plays one of the key roles in helping the body recover.
Do you ever think that for the longest time that was almost neglected, throughout your 30 years of continuing recovery is, that nobody really even thought, not only is it the substance, quote unquote, that you're putting in your body, whatever it may be, but, the food that you're eating too, like eating McDonald's 7 days a week can't be any better for you than having, that beer or anything,
Well, absolutely. And I think it's not overlooked. It's just not addressed. The nutritional deficiencies in the body when someone's in recovery, especially coming out of a detox or rehab, they're functioning on get them to the next step, whether it's a halfway house, three-quarter house, sober living, their next step. And a lot of times nutrition, because it takes a lot to develop something like that or eat proper, it's tough.
What are some things that you noticed that you didn't like during this recovery process that you said continuous throughout, essentially everybody's life? What are some things that you saw that you wanted to change that motivated you to go down this path, and including both nutrition and recovery and getting health and clean?
Well, I'm the youngest of 8 kids, 5 boys and 3 girls.
Wow.
All 5 boys and one of my sisters, alcoholics and/or addicts. And to be honest, Mike, I grew up in this. I'm 54. And this is what I've known all my life. And I'm not a bad person for it. It's just my body, for whatever reason, loves to get high, loves to drink, loves to be on the edge. And again, it's not a bad person. So I'm going to do that one way or the other. So trying to do it the right way, nutrition's invaluable. And the body wants to feel healthy. And just think of it for a second. There's a lot of common sense. For an addict or someone just starting the journey from the beginning stages, intermediate stage, and full-fledged addiction, they're taking care of that for the body. They know how to make themselves feel good. They know how to get through the day, manipulate, cheat, steal, whatever it takes. So now if you're trying to do it on the positive end, it takes a lot of effort. So what we've done is actually made it pretty simple in the Recovery 24 system. And
then you talk about addicts needing to address the 24-hour-a-day cycle. What exactly does that mean, especially coming from your point of view?
Well, addiction is a 24-hour-day cycle. And a lot of times in recovery, I'm sure you're well aware of it, most of your listeners, that the word recovery is synonymous with somebody in recovery to drugs and alcohol today. And so if you get to a meeting, that's an hour a day. If you have a good sponsor, accountability part, that's another hour. What are you doing the rest of the 20-some hours a day to help your body? If you're not sleeping, your mind's racing. And so you have to have a good night's sleep in order to your body to recover for anything. Your GI tract has to be functioning. There's as many neurotransmitters made in the gut there is in the brain. Yep. If they're not functioning together, you're going to be in a world of trouble.
And then you guys actually address that. So, imagine let's take people who aren't, again, quote unquote, suffering with the addiction. Let's just say the average Joe who's never touched anything, and they have a hard time sleeping, right? Like too much. They stood up to watch the Bulls game, or they stood up to watch the Penguins in the conference finals.
Sure.
Whatever the case may be. Let alone if you're suffering from an addiction, how much does, your sleeping pattern and, like you said, what's going on in your gut, using the washroom, making sure your nutritions are getting soaked up in the body the proper way, how important of a role does that play into it?
Oh, it's huge. And, when, just like I said, you stay up watching the game late, just think if you're not eating properly and doing that. Now compound it with using drugs and doing that.
Right.
And what we found, too, is the caregivers, whether it's a mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, and sister, they're feeling the negative effects of that person using and abusing. They are, and they're getting the benefits also. They're having the sleepless nights, the stress, the anxiety, everything that goes along with it, but they don't get no benefits of getting high. And it's a tough cycle for everybody that's around that person in recovery.
Is there any correlation with replacements of, let's say, you almost replace the addiction of I need to get high, and let's say you get over that hurdle, right, where it's no longer a physical addiction. Is the whole goal to make good, healthy living the new addiction? I mean, is that because you say it that we all know that addiction is a whole lifespan. It's something that you got to work on every single day.
Sure.
Is the goal almost to replace it with a healthier addiction because it's almost the way, I don't want to say addicts are, but the way all of us are as humans.
Absolutely. But then you have to ask the question: is it a negative thing to be addicted to good health? Some of us can take it overboard. There has to be a balance. But for my mindset, either I'm going to try to do something positive 100% because I'm all or nothing. And what we found out is most people in recovery, most addicts, alcoholics, they're all or nothing. They're in it to win it, to get high or drink. And so when you tell them about nutrition and you have something that's pretty simple to take, not easy to maintain, but simple to take, it can be a game changer.
Joe Maxim joins us today on Outreach Radio Chicago. If you want more information, please go to tryrecover24. That's the number 24.com, or call 1-800-442-0390. Can you go into Joe? Can you go into a little description of the plan, exactly what people can expect when they jump headfirst into this?
Sure, absolutely. Well, you have to understand this was developed by addicts for addicts, and I'm one of the persons in recovery. So our nutritional system starts at nighttime. Most people want to start in the morning, but for people that like to run the streets, so to speak, and Mike, just so you know, that term "running the streets" that's not a physical as much as it is a lifestyle of running the streets. That running the gamut and blah blah blah. And we have a lot of 4.0 students that are heroin addicts.
Wow.
So our nutritional program starts at nighttime. So we have fish oil, probiotics, and a sleep aid to help you get to sleep. There's no, regular melatonin or anything like that. We developed our own products to combat the sleep issue. But, two of the biggest issues in the country right now are poor digestion and sleep. And we've done it in a sleep pack. It's just common sense for us. And then in the morning, there's an AM pack, which is comprised of 7 different pills, and they're color-coded for different reasons that we've chose. Because addicts like to see things. They like to be a part of something. They like to equate, an old stamp bag of this or stamp bag of that with on our packets are unique. They're stamped with a one day at a time victory logo on the front. They know exactly what it means, and you don't even have to explain it. So we have 72 different nutrients on a 24-hour-day cycle, but our program really starts at nighttime. We want you to sleep first.
And then for those that have the caregivers, do they have any special nutritional needs that they need to take care of as well with the that are close to the addict? Because it's also one of those, it's one of those things you don't think about. Like, let's say I'm dieting and the special lady isn't, so she's eating the pizza and and I'm over here with the piece of broccoli. Like, how important is the system around you and the people around you?
Oh, it's huge. That system is incredible. And that's one of the big things in recovery, the people, places, and things. But for every one person in recovery, there's 5 that are directly affected, and it's usually in the bloodline, a mom, a dad, brother, sister. And again, they've been negatively affected by someone's use and abuse, and they're not getting any benefits, if it is a benefit, to getting high for the temporal, the person in recovery. So it is very close. We have to be careful. And, if some people, side note, Mike, if in the family, if someone's struggling with drugs or alcohol, there's another family member that can have one drink. And if it's that easy for them, then it's that easy for them to say, no, I'm not going to do it around such and such a person. It's a tough struggle, but family plays a huge role in somebody's recovery, huge.
That's some fascinating stuff. Joe Maxim joins us today. Go to tryrecovery24.com. That's 24.com. Call 1-800-442-0390. And it's a very cliche question, but I think it's the most important question that needs to be asked. If somebody's listening right now, whether it's on iTunes, on YouTube, on the radio, wherever the case may be, and they're contemplating, or they know somebody that might need this type of direction, but they're worried about, the what they've seen Hollywoodized of the withdrawals. I mean, some people do suffer that much, but the Hollywoodized of going to rehab and getting a clean life. Do you have any advice for anybody who's scared to make that jump?
Yeah, you have to do it. And you have to realize that people in recovery or people using and abusing, they're not afraid of dying. They're afraid of living without. So you have to replace that living without with something positive. And we tell people all the time, Mike, if you're not being edified from me, being stirred up, if you're not being encouraged by me or what we believe in, then you don't want me as a friend or somebody in recovery. And so those eyes that are willing to do something, you have to take that first step. You really do. And to go to someone who's going to encourage you and edify you, and that's what we believe in, that you have to jump. You have to do it.
Is there, when you're making a program like this, you guys obviously know that not everybody wants to be saved and not everybody can be saved, but it's giving them that option. But when you guys are behind closed doors or when everything is kind of coming together, is there a certain age group or a demographic or obviously we want to help everybody, but do you look at kids more when you're trying to make a program like this, or are you trying to get the adolescents, the teens? Like, who do you guys see when you guys make this plan?
Well, actually, we started very target specific with age 15 to 25.
Okay.
And those were the years that I was running the streets, so to speak. And so under the age of 15, you're dealing with severe addiction, but you're dealing with a different maturity level, and you need really professional people to deal with that immaturity. You go over 25, you start getting into the kids, you start getting into house payments, you start getting a different dynamic in a person's life. So we first targeted age 15 to 25. And then what happened was after, I'm not going to, say no to anybody that's coming in after 25. If they just start our program and they say need some help, you can be with us 4, 5, 6 years to help somebody. So we don't say no. But then we found out nutrition is for everybody. And we just, we believe in the 24-hour day cycle, not a one a day. It's impossible. Addicts don't do anything once a day. They don't. We wish there was a pill that you could take once a day to recover. Right. You're not going to do it. It's just impossible.
Listeners can visit tryrecovery24.com. That's the number 24. Call 1-800-442-0390. Joe Maxim joins us for just a few more minutes. We've had an awesome conversation. Joe, if you could go back, 30 years, and you can give yourself, young you some advice and tell them, what would you tell them? What after all the journey that you've lived through and everything you've seen, what would be the one piece of advice you can give?
Wow, I'm asked that all the time. Would I change something? I say yes some days and no some days. What advice? Really find out who you are first. You have to believe in yourself, because what drugs and alcohol did for me is made me somebody that I wanted to be and I wasn't. And it took a long time to find that. So for a young person, it makes you, and Mike, I'm sure you heard this too, and cliches, it makes you somebody you're not. Drugs and alcohol, it makes you fit in, it makes you talk, it makes, if you're into steroids too, and that's part of the drug addiction, it makes you a person that people want to be around, and that's just a lie. And you have to find out, way back when, if I was to tell one young person not to do drugs and alcohol, it's not, people say, why do they do it? We have to say, why not? What have you promoted in that young person's life so positive that they don't want, need, or even want to be a part of that? And so I believe that we have to teach them at a young age that they have to have self-esteem, they have to know who they are, and that's not going to say they're not going to make the bad choice, but it sure helps when they know who they are as a young person.
Joe, if anybody's interested, especially after this awesome conversation we've had with you about Recovery 24, do you have any more little information that we maybe haven't gotten the chance to hit on today?
Well, if you go to tryrecovery24.com, like you said, and I appreciate that, there's some testimonials there of young people that have taken it, and they've been clean for years. We're talking from heroin, really 68 stamp bags a day, young alcoholics, crackheads, and that doesn't denote anything other than the purification of cocaine being a crackhead. That's not a negative. That's just somebody willing to purify that. But you can get information, or if you go to you10.org too, that's a little more information about who we are and what we do, that's YoungOvercomersUnited10.org. That's where we really help young people. But I appreciate you, Mike. What a beautiful day, and it gives me energy as I'm speaking to you. To be honest with you, it gives me energy to go do it again, to go help somebody.
You've been awesome. Yeah, the work you've done with Young Overcomers United, Recovery 24, the energy you're bringing your story. We're more than happy. I mean, it's that time of year. People see the sun. The Mayflowers are finally coming out, and it's a chance. It's a chance for everybody to really kick some ass. So Joe Maxim, everybody, try recovery24.com. Call 1-800-442-0390. Check out what they're doing over at the Young Overcomers United. Joe, thank you so much, buddy. We can't wait to have you on again.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.